Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be going over how to factor a difference of squares. The first difference of squares we're going to factor is p squared minus 36. In order to factor this difference of squares, we need to think about how each term is squared. First we have p, so we can think about p squared as p squared. And we can think about 36 as 6 squared. What number times itself equals these terms is what we should be asking ourselves. We're going to break this down into two binomials. These terms are going to go in each of the spots. P will go on the left and 6 will go on the right, and we will have plus and minus in between them. P squared minus 36 will factor out into p plus 6 and p minus 6. If we factor or FOIL p plus 6 and p minus 6 together, we will get p squared, and then p times negative 6 is minus 6p. 6 times p is plus 6p, and then 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. We can combine these two middle terms, and we're going to get p squared minus 36, which is what we started off with. Our next question is going to be x squared minus 64. Here we need to think about how each term is a square. X squared we can think about as x squared, minus 64 we can think of as 8 squared. So then we can break this down into x plus 8 times x minus 8. The next one we have is w minus 16. W squared is w squared minus 16 is going to be 4 squared. This will be broken down into w minus 4 times w plus 4. Our next equation will be a squared minus 25b squared. The two terms that multiply to make a squared is a times a. So a squared will be a squared minus. The two terms that multiply to make 25b squared is going to be 5b squared. This will break down into a minus 5b times a plus 5b. Next we have 4x squared minus 9b squared. The two terms that multiply, or the term that multiplies by itself to get 4x squared will be 2x. And then we're going to square it minus the term that multiplies by itself to get 9b squared is 3b. 4x squared minus 9b squared is going to factor out into 2x minus 3b times 2x plus 3b. Next we have 49x squared minus 16y squared. 49x squared will be 7x squared minus 16y squared will be 4y squared. This will factor out into 7x minus 4y times 7x plus 4y. Our next question is 9x squared minus 49 w squared z squared. We need to think about what term times itself is going to be 9x squared. That will be 3x squared. And then what term multiplied by itself will make 49w squared z squared. And that's going to be 7wz. 9x squared minus 49w squared z squared is going to factor out into 3x minus 7wz times 3x plus 7wz. Next we have 2x to the power of 4 times r minus 72 y to the power of 4 times r. The first step in this question is going to be to factor out the like terms. Both terms have a 2 and both terms have an r in common. If we were to get rid of the 2 and the r, we would have x to the 4th minus 36 y to the 4th. We can factor both of these, this binomial, by doing the difference of squares. This is going to be 2r times, now we think of one number or term times itself gives you x to the 4th. That will be x squared minus what term gets us 36 y to the 4th. That's going to be 6y squared. And finally, x to the 4th minus 36y to the 4th will break down into x squared minus 6y squared times x squared plus 6y squared. The next problem we have here is 7x to the 4th minus 343 y to the 4th. Our first step here is going to be to factor out the like term. Both terms have a 7 in common, and we'll be left with x to the power of 4 minus 49 y to the power of 4. We can break down this binomial into x squared minus 7y squared. And we're going to get that x to the power of 4 minus 49y to the power of 4 is going to factor into x squared minus 7y squared times x squared plus 7y squared. Our next equation will be 64 times x to the power of 6 minus y to the power of 6. What term times itself gives us 64x to the power of 6? That's going to be 8 times x to the power of 3 minus, how do we get y to the power of 6, what number times itself, or what term times itself, is going to give us y to the power of 6. That's going to be y to the power of 3. 64x to the power of 6 minus y to the power of 6 is going to break down into 8 times x cubed minus y cubed times 8x cubed plus y cubed. The last equation that we're going to do today will be 4x to the power of 4 times m minus 36y to the power of 4 times m. First, we're going to ask ourselves, what do each term have in common? They both have a 4 and they both have an m. If we divide each term by 4 and m, we're going to have x to the power of 4 minus 9y to the power of 4. We have 4m. We need to think about what term times itself gives us x to the power of 4. That's going to be x squared minus what term times itself gives us 9 times y to the power of 4. That's going to be 3y squared. Now we can break this down into x squared minus 3y squared times x squared plus 3y squared. If you've made it this far, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.